What's up everybody, it's Braxton. Today I got a video for you on applying OB's Shine Juice. I learned about this from Captain Eddie, so I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. It's 1/3 shellac, 1/3 boiled linseed oil, and 1/3 denatured alcohol. It's a great finish and super easy to apply. So I'm going to do this video a little different. It's going to be in real time, beginning to end, from the first coat of finish to the last. I'll show you how fast this stuff goes on and just how easy it is. I start by shaking up the bottle because it sometimes separates, and then I'll apply a liberal amount to a paper towel. Once you get a bunch on that paper towel, you want to apply it to the wood. Now, the wood's dry right now, so it's going to suck up a lot, and that's why you put so much on the paper towel. And it's kind of a really important step because what you're doing is building up a base coat for this finish. If you run into any dry spots or you didn't have quite enough on the paper towel, definitely apply more because you want as much as you can to soak into that wood and really absorb the finish and create a good base coat for the layers that are going to come next. After I get the first coat on there, I turn the lathe on and let it spin for, 15 or 20 seconds. I sped that up so you didn't have to see it. Then I take the original paper towel that I applied the first coat with and start to smooth it out and rub that shellac in there. There's no need to apply any more to the paper towel at this point because it's still pretty saturated. All you're trying to do is just even out that shellac. I'm wiping with a decent amount of pressure. As you can see, my fingertips are kind of turning white there. So what I'm also doing is building up some heat to help cure that shellac. Now, that paper towel is pretty wet, so it's going to be hard to build up a lot of heat, but it's still going to help it dry a little bit. The next step after this, I'll fold the paper towel in half and start to wipe off any excess. So just to get a fully dry surface in order to apply that next coat of finish. So after I get that coat fully dry, what I'll do is let the lathe spin as long as it takes me to go grab a new paper towel. So I grab a paper towel, fold it up, and shake up that bottle again in case it's separated, and apply a small amount, a really small amount to this, just enough to get one coat across the surface. You don't want the paper towel to be wet. You just want enough on there, like I said, to get a thin coat across the full surface. And then you start working that in there. And you can see that shine develop just as I applied that first coat. So that means I had a good base coat. It was nice and dry. And you just take a thin amount and rub it in there. And this is where you're going to start to use a little bit more pressure even than the last one, because there's not a lot of finish on there. So you're able to build up heat and cure that layer fast. Now, I took another little bit there and we'll put another coat on. And you just keep building it up like that. Small coats, a little bit at a time, and you can build up a really, really beautiful finish. Now, paper towel selection is surprisingly important. I like to use these white paper towels because they're not as absorbent as the blue shop towels. Those blue ones tend to get really wet, so it makes it a lot harder to build up heat. So these white ones are less absorbent, and so the shellac tends to cure on the outside of them, and it makes it really easy to build up heat and cure that shellac and buff it out nice. After the first couple of coats, I'll crank the speed up. I'm not sure exactly what I'm running here, 1700 RPMs or something like that, but I really got it spinning. That's the most important part, is get that lathe speed cranked up and apply nice thin coats with a good amount of pressure so you can build up some heat and burnish that shellac and bring out a nice shine. Just very small amounts of finish each time is all I'm applying per coat, and that's really the key to this finish, is just thin layers built up on top of each other. And the nice part about that shellac is it cures so quickly, especially on the lathe when you've got it cranked up and you're using a good amount of pressure. It's going to burnish it and it's going to dry it very quickly so you can put another coat on top of that. And it's hard to say exactly how much pressure I'm using, but you can see, again, the tips of my fingers are turning white. So I'm applying a good amount of pressure and really, really building up some heat and drying that shellac before I put the next coat on. So after a few coats, I'll let it sit and spin. In this case, it was long enough for me to go turn the dryer off so it didn't ruin the shot, but I sped that part up. Now here, it's hard to see because the light I've got on there is kind of blowing it out, but that shellac is actually cured on that paper towel, and that's what's helping burnish the previous layers of shellac and also help build up a lot of heat. That's really all it is with this finish, is just rinse and repeat. Thin coats, plenty of pressure, build up the heat, and get it nice and dry before you apply the next coat. Once I feel like I have enough finish on the piece, I'll just use the paper towel dry without applying any more finish to it to help burnish that shellac and build up a lot of heat. And that's when you start to get a really nice shine, is when that shellac gets hot and cures. Then it really, really brings out a beautiful shine to that piece. And I'll use my non-contact temperature gun to show you just exactly how much heat's building up on that paper towel. There you go, 103.5 degrees. Not quite as hot as a sweltering Las Vegas summer day, but it's still pretty hot. You can feel the heat radiating through that paper towel and into your fingers. And sometimes you got to be careful that you don't burn them. But that's the price we all pay for a beautiful piece of wood, huh? So here I am again trying to show you that shiny paper towel. But let me shut the lathe off so you can get a look at the finish. As you can see, it built up a beautiful shine. And that's one thing I love about this finish. It's simple to mix, simple to apply, and you can build up a really nice high gloss or stick with a matte finish if you just don't put on as many coats and burnish them as hard. It's an all-around great finish. It's basically all I use on everything I turn. Just like with any finish, sanding is really important. You want to make sure you have a nice smooth base before you apply the first coat. And if you guys are interested in seeing how I sand, let me know. I could make a video on that. It's, sanding is sanding, so I didn't know if anybody'd be interested in seeing it. And also let me know what you thought of this style video, the whole real-time thing. Maybe I could do some more of them if you like them. Be sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Tell your friends about the videos so they can watch them too. And we'll see you guys next time.